Hi everybody, in fact it's a sleepy D because I've just been woken up to do my watch and I was actually asleep. Normally I am awake waiting and ready to go, but I was sleeping and even dreaming and I never do that. So, my gosh, it was only just the other day that we rounded Cape Horn. It's really confusing. Time is going by quite quickly right now. Rounded Cape Horn was very cool. We got to see it, and that's quite unusual. And it was really nice for the first timers to have that excitement and have the pictures and stuff. I felt quite proud, and I was really proud of Alexia as well for putting the project together and making it all happen. That's now my seventh rounding out of 7 attempts, and I think it's quite important to put it in perspective because when you set out to go around the world, you know not everybody is going to make it, and not everybody gets to round the mythical Cape Horn. So I feel pretty lucky, but the law of averages says that at some point my luck's going to run out. But I like to think that maybe I'm the lucky charm and I know how to get through the Southern Ocean to make it through there. How does it compare? Everyone is different, and it's different for all the reasons you'd expect. Who you're with, what boat you're on, what you're trying to do at the time. But the symbolic moment of rounding the Horn is the exit to the Southern Ocean. So it means quite a lot. You've gone through some pretty tough times and you know that suddenly you can point your bow towards home, and psychologically that has a big impact on everybody's morale. And we've seen that. Since then, we've been going great guns. We've been like a rocket ship going north, and we're really seeing the miles tick by. And it's very unusual to have a good few days of decent winds in the right direction to allow you to get easy miles north. Come tomorrow, we're going to have a transition around a high pressure that's going to slow us right down, but we're prepared for that. But to have these miles where we're doing 30 knots all the time for a couple of days in a straight line. We jived this morning, but pretty much we've been making really good progress, and that's really unusual, which is very positive because the other thing is psychologically when you're around Cape Horn, you think you're close to home. You know, you're on the final stretch, but actually it's the longest 7,000 miles of the whole trip almost. So to tick off some easy miles with that is quite nice. You know, we have to remember the boat's tired, the people are tired, and also we sail differently now. How we sailed down the Atlantic was very cautious. We were struggling to find the speed and the confidence and the settings. And now, you know, we're leaving bigger sails up in more breeze, so we're pushing harder. But we have to remember that the gear's a bit tired. It's got a few more 1,000 miles on the clock. And we have to be careful of that because the objective is to get to the finish line. So we got this transition tomorrow, and then we go upwind for a little bit, which I feel quite strange. We haven't done that all trip. We will come out of that on a starboard tack, and slowly that wind will free us and be more of a reach towards the equator. As we close the Brazilian coast, we'll have a lot more activity coming from there with clouds and thunder cells and traffic. We've been on our own pretty much until then. But the descent up to the equator looks pretty good. We're trying to cut days off it at the moment. We've got a mission to be in by a certain date, which I'm not going to share for a certain reason, but we're pushing hard. We are looking at the ETA of when we're in, but every time the weather gives us an answer that we don't like, we're like dismissing that. We're pushing hard to try and change all the options. We don't want to look too far away at Brest yet. It's about getting to the equator first, dealing with the doldrums, and then that last push in the North Atlantic is what it is. And we know that there will be a final sting in the tail before we get to the finish line. It's the nature of coming into Brest in the middle of winter. And I know that people in that area are dealing with, there's a lot of snow in Europe. There's a lot of wind forecast. There's storms being talked about. We're seeing that on the news. So we're under no illusion that it's going to get, after the enjoyment of the warmth of the sunshine, where we complain we're too hot to sleep, we know it's going to get cold again before the finish. We appreciate that. But at the moment, I'm sure you can take a look outside and see the great conditions while we're still doing 30 knots. Thanks. Bye.